The bank took Grandpa's retirement savings because of one mistake. Grandpa checked his bank account on Monday morning and nearly dropped his coffee. His retirement savings were gone. Not reduced, not frozen. Gone. Little Johnny looked over his shoulder. "Grandpa, why does your account say zero?" Grandpa stared at the screen. "I had $186,000 yesterday." He immediately called the bank. A representative answered. "Mr. Johnson, your account has been restricted." "Restricted? Why?" The woman hesitated. "There appears to be a problem with your retirement account." Grandpa frowned. "I've had that account for 18 years. I've never missed a payment." "That's not the issue, sir." "Then what is?" The representative lowered her voice. "Someone reported that you were deceased." Grandpa froze. "I'm sorry? Our records indicate you passed away last Friday." Little Johnny stared at Grandpa. "But you're sitting right here." Grandpa sighed. "Apparently the bank needs glasses." The representative continued. "Because of the death notification, your retirement account was frozen, your debit card was canceled, and your automatic payments were stopped." Grandpa's face changed. "My mortgage payment comes out tomorrow." "I know, sir. That's why we're trying to resolve this." Grandpa drove straight to the bank. At the branch, the manager pulled up his records. Everything showed the same thing. Name, Harold Johnson. Date of birth, correct. Social Security number, correct. But under status, deceased. Grandpa leaned toward the screen. "Can you change it?" The manager shook his head. "Not until we receive official proof that you're alive." Grandpa stared at him. "What kind of proof?" The manager looked uncomfortable. "A government-issued verification." Grandpa pulled out his driver's license. "Here's my proof." "That's not enough." Grandpa pulled out his passport. "Still not enough." His credit cards. "Still not enough." Little Johnny finally spoke. "What if Grandpa starts yelling?" The manager smiled. "That might actually help." Grandpa wasn't amused. Then his phone rang. It was the Social Security office. A woman said, "Mr. Johnson, we received your request to correct your death record." Grandpa sighed. "Good. Can you fix it?" There was a long silence. "That's the problem. Your death record wasn't created by us." Grandpa frowned. "Then who created it?" The woman answered quietly. "The funeral home." Grandpa froze. "A funeral home reported that you died last Friday, and according to their records, your funeral was already held." Grandpa looked at Little Johnny, then at the bank manager. Someone had officially declared Grandpa dead, while Grandpa was still alive. Grandpa left the bank furious. Someone had officially declared him dead, and somehow, the government believed it. Little Johnny looked at him. "So what happens now?" Grandpa sighed. "Apparently I have to prove I'm alive." He immediately drove to the funeral home listed on the death record. When he walked inside, the receptionist looked at him. "Can I help you?" Grandpa placed his driver's license on the desk. "Apparently you've already helped me." The receptionist looked confused. "What's your name?" "Harold Johnson." Her face went pale. She slowly stood up. "Sir, that's impossible." "Why?" "Because Mr. Johnson's family already picked up the ashes yesterday." Grandpa froze. "Ashes?" She nodded. "The funeral was yesterday morning." Little Johnny looked at Grandpa. "Grandpa, I don't think that's your funeral." Grandpa stared at the receptionist. "Who reported my death?" She checked the file. "A woman named Linda Johnson." Grandpa frowned. "My wife's name is Linda." The receptionist nodded. She was the person who arranged everything. Grandpa immediately pulled out his phone. He called his wife. Linda answered. "Where are you?" "At home." Grandpa took a breath. "Apparently I'm dead." There was silence. Then Linda said, "What?" Grandpa explained everything. The bank, Social Security, the funeral home, the frozen retirement account. Linda suddenly sounded nervous. "Harold, we need to talk." Grandpa's expression changed. "About what?" Linda hesitated. "Someone came to the house last week." "Who?" "He said he was from your bank." Grandpa's voice became serious. "What did he want?" "He asked questions about your retirement account." "Did you give him anything?" "No, but he already knew everything. Your account number, your Social Security number, even the name of your first employer." Grandpa went silent. Little Johnny whispered, "Grandpa, Somebody knows everything about you. Grandpa nodded. And apparently, they know enough to kill me on paper. Just then, Linda received a text message. She looked at the screen. Her face turned white. Grandpa noticed. What did it say? Linda slowly handed him the phone. The message contained only one sentence. Stop trying to prove you're alive. Grandpa stared at it. Then another message arrived. This time, there was a photograph. It showed Grandpa's house. Taken that morning, little Johnny looked at the picture. Someone is watching the house. Grandpa immediately called the police, but before the officer arrived, the bank manager called Grandpa. Mr. Johnson, we found something. Your retirement account wasn't emptied. Grandpa's eyes widened. Then where did the money go? The manager answered. It was transferred to an account opened under your name. After your reported death, the bank manager pulled up the new account. Mr. Johnson, this account was opened 3 days after your reported death. Grandpa stared at the screen. Who opened it? The manager shook his head. That's what we're trying to find out. Little Johnny leaned closer. Doesn't the bank have security cameras? The manager nodded. We do. Then let's watch them. The manager pulled up the footage. A man walked into the branch wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses. He approached the desk, then handed the employee an ID. Grandpa looked at the screen. That's not me. The manager nodded. But the ID says it is? The man looked directly at the camera, then smiled. Grandpa's face went pale. He knows the cameras are there. The manager paused the video. Zoom in. The man's face became clearer. Grandpa stared at him. I know that guy. Little Johnny looked at him. Who is he? Grandpa slowly answered. He used to handle my investments. The manager immediately searched the man's name, then stopped. He's not licensed anymore. Grandpa frowned. Why? He was fired 2 years ago for unauthorized withdrawals from client accounts. Little Johnny shook his head. So he lost his job and then decided to steal Grandpa's retirement? The manager opened another screen. There's something else. He showed Grandpa the transfer history. The $186,000 wasn't sent to the man's account. It was transferred to a trust. Grandpa frowned. Whose trust? The manager clicked the file. Harold Johnson Family Trust. Grandpa stared at the screen. I never created a trust. The manager looked confused. It was created last month, using your signature. Grandpa slammed his hand on the desk. I was never there. The manager opened the document. The signature looked perfect. Even Grandpa couldn't tell the difference. Little Johnny whispered. That's scary. The manager nodded. Very. Then the police officer who had arrived earlier walked into the office. We found the man from the video. Grandpa stood up. Where? The officer looked at him. He's at the county courthouse. Grandpa frowned. Why would he go there? The officer handed him a document. Because he just filed paperwork to become the legal beneficiary of your estate. Grandpa stared at the document. But I'm not dead. The officer nodded. That's exactly why we need to move quickly. Then the officer received a phone call. He listened for several seconds. His expression changed. What's wrong? Grandpa asked. The officer looked at him. The funeral home just called. They found something in the coffin. That proves your death certificate was deliberately falsified. The funeral home manager opened the coffin. Everyone expected to find something disturbing. Instead, there was a rubber Halloween mask. Little Johnny stared at it. Grandpa, did somebody bury Batman? The funeral director shook his head. No, but whoever did this wanted us to think a body was inside. The detective lifted the mask. Underneath it was a stack of documents. Grandpa's bank statements, his retirement account information, his house deed, and his life insurance policy. Grandpa stared at everything. So this wasn't about killing me. The detective nodded. They wanted your money, your house, and your insurance. Then the funeral director found an envelope. It had Grandpa's name on it. Inside was a handwritten note. Harold, by the time you read this, you'll officially be dead. Little Johnny looked at Grandpa. That's pretty rude. Grandpa nodded. People don't even send birthday cards anymore. The detective continued reading. The former investment manager had stolen Grandpa's identity months earlier, but he needed one thing, a legal death record. Once Grandpa was declared dead, His retirement account could be transferred. His insurance could be claimed. And his property could eventually be sold. Then Linda pulled an envelope from her purse. I was scared to show you this. Inside was a photograph. It showed the former investment manager standing beside Robert Ellis. Grandpa froze. Robert? The detective stared at the photograph. The man who stole your money 25 years ago? Linda nodded. They'd been working together. Everything suddenly made sense. Robert hadn't disappeared. He had been living under another name, and his son had continued the plan. They believed Grandpa had stolen Robert's money decades ago, but the bank records proved the truth. Robert had stolen the money himself. 2 days later, police arrested Robert, his son, and the former investment manager. Grandpa's retirement account was restored. His death certificate was canceled. His house remained his. The bank manager personally apologized. Mr. Johnson, we're sorry for the inconvenience. Grandpa stared at him. Inconvenience? You declared me dead, froze my retirement, and almost took my house. The manager swallowed. You're right. Grandpa smiled. Good. Because I'm planning to live long enough to spend every penny you tried to bury. Little Johnny laughed. Grandpa, what's your first purchase? Grandpa grabbed his truck keys. A steak. The detective laughed. Why steak? Grandpa smiled. Because apparently, being alive is getting expensive.